Hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com and we'll take a look at them after round 1. A quick note before we get started here, I'm recording this on Thursday, October 20th, which is basically the first time that I'm going to be playing Magic since Magic Online transitioned to a new company called Daybreak Games. So we may encounter some bugs today. There may be some hiccups during this transition. So just throwing that out there ahead of time. Today's deck list is very spicy and comes to us from Aiden K, who has just called this deck list Bug Value Town. Essentially, we're going to be playing some EDH All-Stars like the Gitrog Monster in the pseudo Life from the Loam Graveyard Matters shell. The Gitrog Monster says, at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice it unless you sacrifice a land. You get an exploration effect and can play an additional land on each turn. And whenever one or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you can draw a card. And another sweet legendary creature is Slogurk the Overslime. This is a 3/3 ooze with trample. Whenever a land card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on this thing. And you can also remove 3 +1/+1 counters to return it to its owner's hand, although I don't really imagine us doing that very much. When this thing leaves the battlefield, we can return up to 3 target land cards from our graveyard to our hand. So essentially, we are going to play this sort of land matters, graveyard size matters strategy with a bunch of creatures or things that work well with the graveyard in some capacity. Sometimes this is going to mean sacrificing creatures to both give us land drops and grow some of our other creatures here. And sometimes that's going to mean like using our graveyard as a resource to go and escape something like an Uro. And in order to fit all of this glorious jank into the deck list, we are going to need to be a Yorion deck list. So we're essentially a Yorion bug value lands and graveyards matter deck. If you're a little more chaotic, you can just call this an elves deck. You know, like everything is an elves deck if it has a couple elves in it, right? Shoutouts to Hello Newton, who is doing some great work in innovating the elves archetype. It's really starting to look a whole lot like the Rock, though, is all I'm saying. We're basically a mono green deck that has splashed for a handful of cards. So, like, despite the fact that we are bug and like we do run cards of the other colors, the vast majority of this deck list is mono green. We have a little bit of disruption in various natures in black and a couple creatures that have an extra color stapled to them, but we're really heavily green, at least in the main deck. Although the sideboard does feature a good amount of black options, as well as a couple of green sun targets for very specific matchups, including an Allosaurus Shepherd art that is at least a little bit spicy. I'm not saying it's a thirst trap or anything, but I'm not saying it, you know? It's a good looking Allosaurus Shepherd. I think that's more or less all I have to say. I am going to run this through a Legacy League. I'm a little skeptical about some portions of the deck, but I'm really excited to try this out because I think either way, this deck is going to be fun. And every once in a while, I can do some absolute nonsense with a Sylvan Safekeeper, where I like sacrifice a bunch of lands while I have a Gitrog Monster in play, and it's very cute. If you're new here and you like what you see today, please consider subscribing to support the content, and if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It is the easiest way to support my content for free. If you end up wanting to mess around with this deck list, or you want to get one of your own decks on the stream, on the YouTube, whatever we're calling it these days, all that information is available in the video description. Let's battle. Alright, round 1 here. I have cards. I don't know that this does anything. I have a good turn 1 and good turn 2 play. I don't really go anywhere from there. I'm not sure if this is a mulligan or not. I'm going to lean towards this is a mulligan. I just don't... Like, if you ask me what legacy deck does this hand beat, I can't answer that question, which probably means that it should go back. Whereas this one I like quite a bit. I'm just going to throw back the Eternal Witness here. Is just less mana efficient than everything else in the deck here. Alright, so throw down the bird on turn 1. I probably want to save the green sun for a little while. Oh, I am gonna need to set some fucking stops here. Okay. Set stop on upkeep. I usually do... Okay, you're gonna lightning bolt that. That's fine. I'm gonna figure out my stops real quick, though. So I usually do upkeep, main, combat attack blocks, end of combat, second main phase, end step, I think. I'll probably figure out pretty quickly whether or not that feels good. I really wanted that bird because I wanted to double spell this turn. Okay, JK, I can still double spell. It's a little awkward that, like, these are going to be just played out into more lightning bolts. But I don't think I have much of a say in that, and I'm willing to get this one dazed. Alright, Force Pitching Ponder. Probably playing against Blue-Red Delver. I guess I'm just F6 in here. Oh, yeah, there's another lightning bolt. Alright. Life sucks. Alright. Sylvan Safekeeper, you are late to the party, friend. And a daze here is backbreaking. But it feels like I more or less have to do this. I think just getting Reclaimer number 3. We'll see what my opponent has to say about it. Lightning Bolt number 3 would sure fucking suck. I mean, that Wasteland also is pretty fucking rough. Alright. So I'm more or less just stuck here. If at any point I need to, I can technically turn their volcanic island into a regular island in order to grow my creature, but I'm not super keen on that idea. I do not want to wasteland the expressive iteration deck. Okay, it just doesn't matter. They just had Murktide Regent. Alright, that's a cool game of Magic where my opponent made a 6/6 flyer after wastelanding me twice and answering my first 3 spells. I don't have any Maze of Ith type cards, right? I don't have any Maze of Ith type cards. I am comfortable conceding here. Let's move on. Alright, let's grow this. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, we've got resizing windows to do here. Sudden Edicts seem good. Stealthy Voidwalker is okay. I'll probably play it. I might play Abrupt Decay. Abrupt Decay missing Murktide Regent just sort of sucks. What don't I want here? Eternal Witness is extremely slow. I don't think I need this many Sylvan Safekeepers. I cut some number of those. I would still need 3 more cuts if I want to play all of these cards, and it's possible I could just cut some of the, like, cute things. Like, Slogurk doesn't line up well versus Lightning Bolt in particular. I might still play Gitrog Monster. But I think I'm winning with stuff like Endurance Fiend Artisan and Elvish Reclaimers. I'm gonna go down yet another Safekeeper, and maybe go down, like, 1 Exploration. This is a reasonable looking hand that has some early basics. I think I'll keep this. I'm not, like, stoked or anything. This is fine. I think I'm comfortable just playing out the field on turn 1. I don't think I want to just Green Sun for a mana dork here. Got a Sudden Edict for if my opponent plays a Dragon Rage Channeler on turn 1. I guess if I want to remove that, I'd really rather just ambush that with an Endurance, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'd love to ambush that with Endurance and then use the Sudden Edict to kill a real card later. I am going to attempt to get a card. This is a pretty respectable daze. Yep. But if I want to play Endurance on curve next turn, I need to try to bait the daze this turn. Delver flips to Pyroblast, which is not super strong here, but my opponent probably doesn't really know that. So this is probably fine. Alright, no shuffle there. Yeah, I think I'm just on attempt in combat endurance this turn. If this gets a daze or a force or whatever. I don't think I want to take the turn off to cast Cabal Therapy without something else to do with this therapy as well. Alright, things looking good so far. Submerge. Sure. Alright. Wasteland on Bayou sucks. Now I can't recast my card. Cool, cool, cool. Deck's fun to play against. Now this Sudden Edict just fucking sucks because I always take the not flipped Delver. I mean, I think it is what it is. I just do this so they don't get to look at the top card next turn. Like, I know I'm not playing the most powerful deck in the world here, but the play patterns versus this deck have just absolutely fucking worn on me. Alright. I will play Swamp rather than the second snow-covered Swamp. Will Cabal Therapy my opponent. I think Force of Will and Expressive Iteration are reasonable names here. I'm gonna name Force of Will. Well, that's how it goes. I know my opponent had the Pyroblast. I don't care about that Pyroblast that much. Like, I care so much more about resolving this Endurance so that I can stop taking these hits from the Delver and take out the graveyard so that Murktide Regent becomes less of a problem. Because I am nearly dead to this Delver alone. So now this is an Expressive Iteration, which has found a Wasteland. Cool, cool, cool. Alright, there goes Field of the Dead. Alright, I cannot cast any of my spells. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, there's the Murktide Regent. That was a enjoyable game of Magic the Gathering. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is a deck building website, and I've got my Zonksha EDH deck list pulled up here. In addition to just keeping track of, say, what cards you do and don't own, there's a lot more functionality here. You can see the chances of playing various cards on curve. You can take a look at your mana curve, the number of symbols in your deck, or you could even look at sample opening hands and even playtest with the deck itself. Alright, round 2. This opening hand is going to be a keep. Not exactly sure how to play the hand. This may just be a Nick Fit hand, so to speak, where I play a Cabal Therapy on turn 1, and then Green Sun for Veteran Explorer on turn 2. I do not hate it. I think to leave more basics in the deck for later, I just get an Underground Sea right here. That does also give me both of my colors. And blind on turn 1. Let's just name Brainstorm. Hey! Absolutely hit. Now, my opponent's got a Carpet of Flowers that will be live. They've got an Expressive Iteration, which they can't exactly cast yet. And a Force of Will, which might stop some of my nonsense. I guess there's first land drop. I don't even know if I want to ramp my opponent since they have an Uro. That's really awkward. Yeah, it's probably fine. I don't know, maybe it's not fine. Maybe the Uro gets pitched to Force of Will. Unsure. Let's cast this and see what happens. It has been allowed to resolve. I think this game becomes about Elvish Reclaimers in the short term. Go ahead and fetch. Get like a Bayou here. I think I just play a second one of these and hope that I attack for 6 next turn. Right, that is Force. Pitching EI. Uro is rough. And it's not like taking it with Cabal Therapy is good either. Opponent chose red mana. There's another land drop. And there's Expressive Iteration. Is looking for an answer to the Elvish Reclaimer. I think this is just going to be another round where we just get buried by Expressive Iteration, unfortunately. Like, Expressive Iteration is just so much more efficient at doing what this deck wants to do with cards like the Gitrog Monster. I don't like Super Mind Wasteland. I don't get Wastelanded this turn. I get Wastelanded next turn. That's a thing. Can't play all of my cards here. Very unfortunately. Oh no, this is hybrid. I actually can. JK. Alright, there's Sylvan Safekeeper. There's the hybrid mana coming into use. I don't think I want to sacrifice a land here, seeing as I am about to get wastelanded anyway. I also don't think that I can just hold back to play around Wasteland. I think I have to play out these cards. Carpo Flower is doing a good Birds of Paradise impression. Although that will get noticeably better as this game goes on. Alright, yeah. Take your cards. Alright, that's fine. See what they're getting. Makes sense. So I can sacrifice a land if I would like to save Elvish Reclaimer. It's incredibly awkward in the face of Wasteland to do that, though. Let's do it, though. I think I'm already in trouble in the long game. So I think I need to value the short game here instead. And try to just deal as much damage as I can. There is a new Sylvan Safekeeper. Oh, neat. It gives me a number of land plays remaining now. I think that's new. I can Cabal Therapy my opponent to just deal one more damage this turn. I don't think I'm into that, though. I think I'm gonna go ahead and take my 6 damage and then maybe hope Fiend Artisan sending away Sylvan Safekeeper can do something cool. But I think I've already lost to this Uro, if I'm being honest. Yeah, so this is green, blue. 5 cards in graveyard for Uro. Uro will allow my opponent to put in the Wasteland that I know about, and then they can take out this Underground Sea, which sucks for me. Oh, okay, sure. I need some sort of, like, life from the loam nonsense or something. Cryome does not feel like it. I mean, I'm gonna play it. I can only activate this as a sorcery. So let's junk a Sylvan Safekeeper. And we're gonna pick up a Veteran Explorer here. I have to pass my turn here. I don't even have, like, a Caracas, right? Yeah, I don't even have a Caracas to go and find with Elvish Reclaimer. I'm definitely missing out on some of the utility that I see in other Elvish Reclaimer decks here. We just cantripping with blue there. Oh. Sure. No, that's fine. That's totally fine. Yeah. Okay. That is a very savage 3 for 1. Well, okay, no, it's a 4 for 2. That's gonna blow up Carpet. Oh, yes, I will use this ability. I should probably have one of each basic here. Fiend Artisan is a 6/6 for what it's worth, so if I draw a creature, I can get to the point where I have something that is larger than Uro. Sure. Your Brainstorm is fine. Now, opponent is just using that to try to hit a land drop here. Or not. I'll take 6, I go to 12. Sure. I have not felt like my decisions have particularly mattered in these games of Magic that I have played today. Oh, cool. That's a nice start. Alright, 1, 2, 3. There's a Yorion to hand. It's not worth using Cabal Therapy or anything here. And I think my Fiend Artisan is just going to be a little bit too slow here. Sure. Concede. We're done. Next draft. Oh no, sorry. We get to go to a game 3. Sure. Is this game 2? Yeah, I guess this is game 2. My opponent was just playing Carpet Flowers in the main deck, which made me think that was a post-sideboard game. The Doughty Voidwalker's okay. I'm not super great at answering an Uro. Oh shit, I did have a Bojuka Bog. Thought I didn't have Bog. Probably played that game suboptimally then. Still think I eventually lose to that Uro. That's right, I double-checked for Maze of Ith and Caracas, and I didn't have either of those. I want to surgical it. Sylvan Safekeepers just, like, kind of feel bad unless I'm doing something very cute. I think I'm just going to cut all of those. Need the Doughty Voidwalkers. I could play some Sudden Edicts to get Uros out of the way temporarily. That kind of feels bad. Multiple multiple engineered explosives is brutal here. I have so many 1-drops. Card's very good against me, and it's not like Abrupt Decaying it is like the be-all, end-all answer to that. I guess I'm just gonna submit like this. I don't feel super great here. I guess keep Wasteland Ramunap. All it takes is one copy of Life from the Loam from my opponent, though, to just completely dismantle this game plan. Similarly, just a Force of Will effect on Ramunap is also very good against this hand. Alright, my opponent deliberated for a while, but ultimately kept their hand. I think we're just gonna lead on like a Bayou here. Like, given that I have a Veteran Explorer here, that hopefully will get killed or I sacrifice at some point. Hopefully that means just not playing basics for the first few turns is fine. Alright, we're good to go. Alright. We're chilling. Not like super interested in Dryad Arbor here. Go ahead and crash in with a Veteran Explorer. I was really hoping to just Wasteland this turn, but that did not happen. Let's just play like a Misty and pass then. No end-step removal spell, no end-step Brainstorm. Alright, we're just gonna stare at each other for a little while. Guess that's fine. No, not what I'm looking to draw. Crash in with Veteran Explorer. Put opponent to 18. Drop a Wasteland, pass the turn. I'll Wasteland my opponent's Volcanic Island in their upkeep. Yeah, that's fine. Opponent, like, specifically has Stifle, and they stifle this Wasteland, and they drew the Stifle off the Brainstorm, like, so be it. But I think I'd rather not, like, with 100% certainty, let my opponent know that the Brainstorm is happening, or sorry, the Wasteland is happening immediately. This start feels so incredibly anemic. That is interesting, but I don't really have a way to sacrifice the Veteran Explorer right now. I think I'm hoping to double Wasteland my opponent next turn. I'm going to play a Snow-Covered Forest. I'm going to drop an Exploration. And I think I just try to get the Dryad Arbor into play. I don't think I want to play this until I can immediately fire off at least one Wasteland. Alright, we are seeing some movement from my opponent here. Brainstorm's fine. Not even fetching. Cards are good. That is probably a very bad sign for me. Are we Uroing? It sure feels like we are Uroing. There's 3 mana. Yep, there's Uro. I will attempt to surgical that when that hits the graveyard. I don't think it's going to resolve, but I will attempt. I think while my opponent doesn't have mana up, I just do this. Straight up surgical Uro right here. Okay, opponent's hand is great. Alright, so leaves them with 3 Minskin Boo, 2 Endurance to win the game with, and I guess I should take a picture of this. Alright. So, in good news, at least as of right now, my Ramunap Excavator is going to resolve. So this will be the Ponder. And if Ramunap Excavator resolves, I get to double Wasteland my opponent, which is incredibly strong here. Alright, let us fetch a land out of the deck. Guess a blue source. I can have second blue for my own Uro if that happens. Like Trop. Alright, is the one card that you drew off Ponder, Force of Will. Cool. Cool. Alright. I guess land drop, so that I can be set up for like Field of the Dead or something. Crash in. But yeah, feels like this game's over. My opponent's got Expressive Iteration. And I have nothing. Yep. I guess there's worlds where I could beat my opponent to death with my Yorion, but I just like so don't have the appropriate amount of value to deal with the things my opponent is throwing in front of me here. And now that my opponent's done that, I don't even have blue for Yorion in the first place. Like, I'll put it into my hand. And before someone says so in the comments, heads up, this is target permanent and opponent controls. Now let's get rid of that fake zone. Okay, that's not really fine. It is a very good 2-for-1 here. But I guess my opponent can just wait on it for a very long time. This is going to be incredibly awkward. Alright. Opponent goes to 11. I cast a Cabal Therapy targeting you. Okay. I want an Assassin's Trophy, something that is going to kill my 1-1. No. Guess that's ending the turn. Alright, land drop pass. The fact that my opponent didn't necessarily wasteland here is interesting. Or did I just not cross out that wasteland? Maybe I just didn't cross out that wasteland. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm checked out of this game. I think I've already lost this one. I'm moving on to the next round mentally. Like, I'll be very happy if I'm wrong, but I think this is one of those games where I've lost and it takes me another 10 minutes to physically lose. Alright, my opponent went AFK for a very long time, but seems like they are back. I can clear out their graveyard with an Endurance, which is cool. Crash in with Veteran Explorer, I guess. Use that as my starting point. Alright, opponent's down to 10. Okay, there is an Endurance. Nuking my graveyard. Do I Assassin's Trophy that? It really sucks for me if my opponent draws a Minsc and Boo and I use Assassin's Trophy on that. But, like, they probably don't have a counterspell available right now. I can just attempt to take this out. I don't think I want to do that. I think I'm just going to attempt to block it in combat. I get lightning bolted. I get lightning bolted. My opponent also may just take the tempo play of just bouncing this back to my hand. Alright, there we go. Graveyard gone. Go ahead and just kind of do a block here. Alright, did not immediately find a lightning bolt or anything there to make my life miserable. Alright, let's attempt attacks for 4. Alright, there is the tempo play of Bounce Endurance. Fine, that is happening. Alright, the opponent goes to 9. I think while my opponent doesn't have hardcast Force of Will mana, I probably am just going to play Endurance. Although Bird plus Assassin's Trophy on Endurance is pretty justifiable. Actually, not in the face of EE. Okay. Also, if I win this game, my opponent's probably going to time out. Okay. Yeah, I'll just play this. I'll just play Endurance after my opponent plays End Step Brazen Borrower. Alright, cool stuff. That trigger doesn't do anything. Note, this can only block creatures with flying. Oh. So if my opponent has Lightning Bolt, I want to block this, not this. This is actually a trade, whereas this wouldn't be, and they block the same amount of damage otherwise. Okay, that's gone. Oh. Wild. I would like to go to battle time. I have successfully gone to battle time. I have successfully battled. I'll just be passing the turn here. Sadly, I can't cast both Assassin's Trophies in the same turn cycle right now. Once my opponent has tapped some mana, I'll probably play an Assassin's Trophy. Okay. Ooh, okay. We might still be in this one. Let's attempt to get Ye Old Blocker out of the way. I can just try again on my turn if it doesn't work. These fetch lands from my opponent also are, like, spooky. Okay, yeah, I kind of expected that. That's why I was trying to wait for some mana to be tapped. Dalthy Voidwalker. Again, can't double spell due to how my mana is working out here. I think I just want to take this out of the way and straight up put my opponent to 1 life. Okay. The opponent's at about 5 minutes on the clock playing their hard control deck. So basically, if I stop Uros, I have 2 Endurances, 3 Minsk and Boos to worry about. So I'm probably going to overboard Surgicals here to just make it so that I'm less likely to die to an Uro. Do I even play Sudden Edict? Just like the way that I lose is the clock. Or sorry, the way that I win is the clock, probably. Thinking about both Seiju or engineered explosives. Not like thrilled about it. The issue with boarding in this many situational cards is that like things can be kind of rough. I draw too many of them at the same time. But I think the plan is just like stop opponent from winning and time them out. I think I'm okay with that. Alright. Cute cards are going. If I have a green sun, it just gets Fiend Artisan or Uro or something. Do I really need exploration? I don't really know that I need exploration. Like, it's very cool if I set up like Ramunap or something here, but like the explorations just feel so bad against my opponent's EEs. So let's try this. This is a perfectly reasonable opening hand that can attack on a couple of different fronts. I am good with this. And let's see where my opponent's play is going. Probably Ponder. I'm not sure that I want to wasteland my opponent immediately. Never mind, I want to wasteland my opponent immediately. Fuck him! We'll kind of restart the game. But, like, I have access to Life from the Loam, which, failing specifically a Force of Negation, will be extremely strong against what my opponent has going on. Ooh, Veteran Explorer. I can set that up with Sudden Edict. I don't know that I want to do that, but it is a thing that I am legally allowed to do. Now, like, the clock situation is very much on. A Bolt as well would be really strong for my opponent here. EE for 1, not quite as good here. But holy fucking shit, would a Force of Negation just destroy me. I don't think I want to play around it by casting Cabal Therapy here because of how bad it is if my opponent untaps with that. Oh, I don't have another Bayou, do I? Just can't get basic forest. Ooh. We're getting Trop then. Oh, please, please, please do not have the Force of Negation. Alright. Cool. I think that's a pretty bad Lightning Bolt if you have the EE on board. Yeah, and now I don't have access to Bayou for Cabal Therapy, which is super awkward. Such is life. But I think there's too many worlds where if I don't go for that Life from the Loam on that turn, like I lose the bird, I don't get another land drop, and I just die. I don't regret going for it. No shuffle. You played out both Seiju. Okay, I found a land drop. Which presumably means that things are going to be looking up, given the suite of tools that I have here. Oh man, and I almost want like a second Bayou here. I need untapped black, which means it's Underground Sea. I will Cabal Therapy targeting you. I think this name's Minsk and Boo. Hell yeah. Leaving my opponent with just a Daze. Let's see. I have played a land for turn, so I can't Ramunap from my graveyard right now. I think I'm still good with doing this. Getting black and green here. Opponent technically should have cast that Daze. Fight me. It doesn't actually matter. Given that my opponent is Hellbent, I am fine playing this out. Brainstorm's okay. I mean, it's better than okay. It's extremely strong. I have another Minsk and Boo covered. I have an Uro covered, at least in the short term. And I have a decently sized body. Okay, EI in this situation is absolutely acceptable. Okay, they found Lightning Bolt. That's okay, though. Again, like, the clock has become one of my primary win conditions. Like, 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Oh, hell yeah. I'm always playing Fiend Artisan. Next turn, I can just cast an Elvish Reclaimer and turn it into something else immediately. That feels better. I think I'm just going to hold up my mana this turn. And if I grow Fiend Artisan, yeah, that's fine. Don't care about any of that. If I grow Fiend Artisan past the point where, like, Burrow beats it in combat, there's very few ways that I can actually just lose. I can get up to a 4-drop. So I would like a 3-drop here. Well, okay, I guess that's what I'm getting because I'm spending 1 mana on this. All right, there's Reclaimer. Double checking to make sure creature is sacrificed as a part of the cost. I'm gonna get Leovold. I think shutting off cantrips sounds really fucking good right now when I have a 2-turn clock. Although maybe I don't attack with Leovold. Leovold was even better than I thought. Okay, cool. That match did not feel good. I did not enjoy it, but scoreboard. Alright, I will definitely be keeping my opening hand here. I've got Bird into Ramunap or Life from the Loam in some combination. And let's see what my opponent is up to. Maybe Elves, maybe Cloud Post, maybe Maverick, or a Green-White Depths deck, maybe? Basic Forest into Bird. That's a good opener. Slogurk the Overslime. My card could get big this match. I'll need like a fetch land or something, but like Life from the Loam will probably make that work out somehow. Bird mirror match. But I have a Yorion. Hasn't really been relevant yet. My opponent's white removal that exiles will potentially be very, very good here. I think I'm gonna just try to preemptively put a Ramunap Excavator into play. I think if I don't do that, the Wasteland Machine, that is Knight of the Reliquary, is just way too scary in this turn cycle. And apologies if you hear any of this, like, weed whacking that's going on in the background. Alright, that's a Misty Rainforest from my opponent. Don't Prismatic Ending it. It has so much to live for. Alright, so I'm probably taking... Nope. Okay. We are ready to hurt my feelings via Wasteland. And it's very good. It will knock me off green if my opponent can do like a follow-up Prismatic Ending or something. Will not knock me off of green. What is the line? I kind of want to get this Overslime going. But it, like, if opponent has access to Karakas, which they almost certainly do, then this card is basically dead. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and just cast a Life from the Loam here. Return this land. Play it out. Play out the Veteran Explorer so that ultimately when this knight attacks, I can get 2 basic lands out of the deal. And I'm just going to try to set up this world where it's much more awkward for my opponent to utilize their knight well. I still don't know whether or not a Merit Lodge combo finish is in my opponent's deck. I'm going to assume yes until I have a reason to think that there isn't. Oh yeah, there's Karakas, so that invalidates Slogurk and Gitrog Monster as well. That's tough. Am I dredging? Kind of need answers to these Knight of the Reliquaries. I already have land drops in hand. I think I'm not dredging. A green sun for X is 3. Find an Uro. Brachus. So that one's a nope. I can just use this to get a first endurance and then do a second endurance. My opponent's removal is going to exile. Ramunap is not particularly strong right now. Alright, whatever. Let's cast this and figure out what I'm doing with it along the way. Fiend Artisan not super strong right now. Uro not super strong right now. Leovold awkward in the face of Caracas. Yeah. So let's get a first endurance. Try to clear out graveyards and shrink the knights back to a somewhat starting size. I just don't really know how good my deck is going to line up versus these knights, because they're just going to grow again. And yeah, Crib Ranger as well. Fuck me. All right. Yeah, so that's an untap and yet another knight activation. Cool, cool. No, that's fine. That's fine. They're just casual 8/8s that can become much larger very quickly. One of the better Scrib Rangers that I've seen in quite some time. Notably, this is a forest for the purposes of Knight of the Reliquary. Yeah. I don't know exactly what I'm playing for, or playing towards at this point. My Fiend Artisans are not going to outpace those Knight of the Reliquaries right now. And man, the Scrib Ranger makes combat math really fucking tough right now. Alright. Veteran Explorer dies, which may not entirely be positive for me. Yes. Grab, like, Forest Swamp here. So my opponent can use Scrib Ranger once per turn. So that can be done on their turn as well as my turn. These knights can get incredibly strong very quickly. Not interested in Life from the Loam right now. Caracas means that I can't get something like the Gitrog Monster here. Or Uro. Or Slogurk. Getting a Baleful Strix? No, that's not fetchable off Green Sun. Dead? Like, not immediately, but feels like dead. Alright, what's the best non-legendary thing I can get? Ramunap? Fiend Artisan? Fiend Artisan is just small-ish right now. That may just be the line, though. I tap like this. Alright, the Thalia attacks. Alright, so this will grab a Fiend Artisan. Alright. There we go. The mighty Fiend Artisan. And I can pretend that I can ambush some things in combat with Endurance. With Scrib Ranger around, though, I don't really think that works. Also, there's a world where if my opponent has the combo finish, they just, like, have both sides of it right now. Okay. Seems like no. I mean, they could. But those knights are some big boys. I think you can, like, just rumble with the knights as they are. Oh, God. Yeah. That gets rid of my Life from the Loam. Also shrinks Fiend Artisan down to a 1/1. Keeps me from dredging to grow Fiend Artisan. I don't think I win. Alright, fuck it. Everybody coming in. Cast this Endurance. Do this thing. And see how bad this ends up being for me. These will grow Fiend Artisan if everything goes wrong as I expect it to. Alright. Knight gets untapped. Land gets sacrificed. We'll get a fetch land. Assuming there's another fetchable in the deck to find afterwards. Kind of hoping there isn't. Or no. Shit, everything went back into the deck with Endurance. Alright, yep. That's fine. I mean, it's not really fine. Oh god, there's more. Alright. I guess I can take the draw step, but I can't think of anything that super changes this. Like, I can blow up a knight or whatever. I'm at 6. My opponent has a very overwhelming board presence. I'm gonna throw in the towel there. Decay seems fantastic. Sudden Edict and Douthie Voidwalkers seem good. Don't think I'm really interested in the rest. Boseju's not crazy in some worlds, but I don't know that I need it. So this is sort of disappointing, but with my opponent having consistent access to Caracas, off of Knight of the Reliquary and Elvish Reclaimer, and potentially even something like Crop Rotation. I don't think I can play the legendary creatures. Uro and Leovold, I think, have enough upside in various scenarios that I'm okay keeping them in the deck. And once I cut those cards, Sylvan Safekeepers become a lot less attractive. That leaves me at 81. Probably just drop an Exploration. The hand's gonna be a keep. It's a little awkward. I'm gonna go ahead and I think fetch Trop, play an Exploration, and play a Swamp. And kinda hope that my opponent doesn't have the magical soul read of like, hey, wasteland that tropical island. It will be very good to do so. Alright, Once Upon a Time finds a Thalia. We've got a Noble Hierarch. I wanted to be able to wasteland this turn. Trix is a great draw, though. Alright. Let's get some more lands into play. Still can't immediately cast this Uro. This is a little annoying. Thalia can be the follow-up there. This is not actually that big of a deal. Alright, Snow-Covered Forest. I think this is just fine to just play out Veteran Explorer. Put the Yorion into my hand for a little bit later. Crash in for 1 in the air. Given that I have a Field of the Dead in play, I'm 100% comfortable just like blocking with a Thalia. My opponent attacks with it, even though my opponent would get the first use of the mana from Veteran Explorer. Oh shit, a Gaia's Cradle. Alright, your Green Sun resolves. Sure, that's fine. Like, it's a ton of mana next turn. Alright, opponent not willing to give me extra mana here. Oh shit, let's fucking go. This is very safe because of Thalia. Or sorry, yeah, Thalia stopping, like, immediate Swords to Plowshares. Alright, so I'll wasteland that Gaia's Cradle. I'm gonna play Tropical Island as first land. I think Misty as second land, so that in some world where Thalia leaves, I can cast more cards. Yeah, this can go ahead and attack on in. Opponent's at 18. I feel really good about this whole, like, Ramunap, Misty, Wasteland situation. I hope this kind of stays as is. Ooh! That's fine. Like, I got very good use out of my tools. Okay. Am I blocking? I think given that I have Field of the Dead and Uro, I am blocking. Let's do it. So I'll definitely get an island. And this is a snow-covered forest. I'll get a regular forest here. Which means that I get 2 immediate Field of the Dead triggers. Okay, yeah, yep. Exploration did some good work there. That said, I don't think I want to bring in another copy here. This hand has no access to starting green mana. That is an Automolian. I don't know that this hand actually beats my opponent in any capacity. I'm gonna go to 5. What the fuck is this? I can't. I will very begrudgingly keep this on 4. It's never Ghost Quarter. Never Second Bird of Paradise. And I guess Sudden Edict goes. I don't really know what I beat here, though. Reclaimer. Oh, we've got a Mother of Runes. There's a punish for keeping Abrupt Decay over Sudden Edict. That's pretty brutal. Kept the more flexible one so that I could deal with something like Sylvan Library. I hadn't seen any moms yet. It's not crazy to expect them. Alright. Got a Thalia or anything? Remove my bird. Yeah, we're gonna remove the bird. Oh, fuck yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really fucking needed that attack. so badly. Alright. Old Swamperino. Abrupt Decay the mom. My Fiend Artisan is only going to be a 1-1 when I play it, but I could... Yikes. Well, the line that I was about to talk about just got a lot harder. Okay, okay. So this is going somewhere now. On my next turn, I can fetch Dryad Arbor and then turn it into a Veteran Explorer and then turn that into something else. Alright. What abomination of a giant overcosted card do I have to deal with? Oh, okay. It's a Prismatic Ending. Very good. But it's not killing me immediately, and I'm doing much better for a mulligan to 4 than I expected to be doing now? With Strix? I think now with Strix, because if I hit another land drop, I can also play Fiend Artisan in this turn cycle, which would be a respectable tempo swing in my direction. Heyo! Let's batch. This is snow-covered. I will get regular swamp. Do I want regular swamp or regular forest? Maybe regular, or I guess snow-covered forest. Yeah, I think casting Endurance or Eternal Witness is more important than casting Douthie Voidwalker. I would buy that. Now, the exile-based removal means that this is still a 1-1, despite the fact that I've lost a couple creatures to removal spells. Okay. Pass the turn, just pass the turn. In Umezawa's Jitte. Don't have a Collector Oof in the deck right now. That is in the sideboard, as I hadn't seen equipment in the first 2 relatively lengthy games. Alright, my opponent has a Caracas. What am I getting? Am I getting Leovold? Forcing my opponent to play that extremely awkward game. I'm just going to get another Fiend Artisan. I don't have anything crazy like a Shriekmaw. Eternal Witness do anything? Almost. Cost me 4 mana to get Eternal Witness. I can get Abrupt Decay so that Jitte doesn't, like, permanently end me. It will just be very good. Alright. The Eternal Witness in my sideboard? No, okay. That was the previous round. Okay, sure. Crash in for 1. Opponent goes to 17. I guess there's no reason not to do this for 4. Just take a look, just make sure I'm not missing something else at a higher CMC. Doesn't look like it. Ewit, target Abrupt Decay. And then we'll kind of see how my opponent navigates the turn cycle. Okay, that becomes a 1-2. I am absolutely fucking trading here. So this trade means that my Fiend Artisan will have 3 power and toughness before the Jitte counters happen, so my opponent can't actually use Jitte to kill Fiend Artisan. That was a really clutch thing here. Alright, I get Wastelanded, that's fine. Misty's fine. Okay, so I can put my Yorion to hand while holding up Abrupt Decay for Jitte. And I don't want to attack into, like, an Endurance here randomly. Oh my god. Really? Alright. Okay. That's a rough top deck. And this is the sort of reason why I didn't want to attack. Can't play my Yorion right now. Hopefully I can get Fiend Artisan to a point where it just beats Batterskull in combat. I've got to just take out that right there and they can gain the life. Alright, as expected. They're up to 20. Swords to Plowshares as well. Alright. Oh. Well, fuck your Batterskull in particular. I have, in my opinion, played this game very well to come back from a mulligan to 4. And those series of top decks were rough. We're back to a top deck war. I think with my life total where it's at, my opponent is favored. Because, like, they just top deck a Knight or a Green Sun, and they have a card that probably kills me in 1 or 2 attack steps. And, like, I have a card in hand, but it's a card that I can't possibly cast. I go down to 9. Oh, no, that's above average, but not the end of the world. It's just like Recursive Wasteland, which is a problem. I guess I take this out now so my opponent can't get yet another, like, Wasteland from Graveyard or later. But, like, every turn here where my opponent, where I don't commit something to the board, my opponent just gets 2 damage in. Please just miss. Please just fucking miss for a turn. Sword of Fire and Ice. Alright. Alright. Sure. I take 5 here, and I don't think I can win from this position. So go down to 6, shoot me for 2. I wonder if there's some portion of my Legacy audience that, like, doesn't know Sword of Fire and Ice anymore. Alright, I'm gonna throw in the towel here. This is rough. Alright, opening hand has 3 lands. Does this hand actually do anything? Like, Cabal Therapy Blind on turn 1, Fiend Artisan on turn 2, Endurance on turn 3. I guess? Maybe this hand is better than it looks. Alright, so my opponent has been seen playing Burn and has been seen playing like a Naya Depths deck. I think I'm just going to generically name Swords to Plowshares here, since my hand is reliant on having creatures around. Oh, fucking nope. Okay. My opponent has kept a hand with 1 card in it, essentially. Like, 1, like, card with a lot of game text. But they can also just play Urza Saga, City of Traders, or, like, sorry, they also have Ancient Tomb. So they can also just kind of go that direction as well, and it's likely to be pretty good. I need to take this Karn out of my opponent's hand, I think. I want to give up Dryad Arbor or Fiend Artisan. Don't have Collector Oof in game 1. I think I'm gonna very awkwardly give up Dryad Arbor here. Alright, fetch Dryad Arbor. Wall Therapy, target you. Sacrificing the Dryad Arbor. Naming Karn the Great Creator. Leaving my opponent with a fistful of land, but that doesn't mean a lot because Urza Saga is one of those lands. So I might be playing this super awkward game where, like, I don't really cast spells for a very long time because I have to Ghost Quarter the Urza Saga that my opponent plays. Alright. Ancient Tomb pass, opponent not going for Urza Saga immediately. That means that I can take this turn, attempt to play Fiend Artisan. My opponent might have an end of turn. Nope. Very surprised they didn't play Urza's Saga then. Sure. Another Lotus Petal. Another Fiend Artisan is not bad. I think I play Ghost Quarter here. Go ahead and attempt my attack for 2. Fantastic. Gone to combat damage. I think I'm just into playing this out. And in my opponent's upkeep. Or maybe Draw Step is better, actually. And Draw Step. Go ahead and Ghost Quarter Urza Saga. You may float your mana. Okay, they do have a basic. Alright, we're in main phase. Get more mana. Malevolent Hermit is totally fine. Just going to be smaller than my creatures after just a second. And I can technically Endurance away the back end as well. Okay, that's an untapped land, which means that I can play Endurance this turn. I think I've seen that Ancient Tomb already. Maybe I just want to, like, play a tapped Triome this turn, though, rather than casting Endurance. Alright, I'm just going to chill for right now. Got an end of turn Endurance, and then I can start trying to grind with Fiend Artisan. I just feel like my hand's incredibly slow right now, and like some of the cooler lines that I have are just really awkward, right? Like I can pitch cast an endurance to just like grow 2 Fiend Artisans into 3/3s. That gives up a lot of value, and also means that I can't do cute shit with this end game, and I think I care about the cute shit. I have to just like be very careful about just dying to just a top decked Karn. I don't even think I'm gonna put a Karn back into my opponent's deck here. I'm just gonna whack, okay. Polluted Delta. Means I can cast Gitrog Monster next turn. I could also Fiend Artisan for a 3-drop. I have a Wasteland. I have a Ghost Quarter. That's kind of like that. I get Ramunap Excavator this turn. I can play Delta from Graveyard and then start trying to Wasteland my opponent out. Just like so slow. How about just getting Leovold? Stop Days Undoing from being a thing. I don't hate that. Grab like UC here. Alright. X is currently 3. I'll sacrifice the Endurance. Grab Leovold. And I'm okay attacking with a 3/3. Yeah, but I like despite having an active Fiend Artisan and a toolboxy deck, I don't really feel like my options are all that great right now. That Otawara, that is Otawara on Leovold. I don't really think that's Googly's ability, but okay. Alright, my Leovold goes back to hand. Seems to indicate that my opponent definitely values what I'm doing over here. Alright, my opponent drew something relevant. Yeah, they drew an Echo. Or had an Echo. Alright. This turns my Fiend Artisans into 1/1s. Which is not great for me. Green Suns aren't great in the face of an onboard mana leak. My opponent can Echo again if they would like. They hardcast that. Alright. Urza Saga, incredibly powerful on this board. Because my 3/3s were just turned into 1/1s. And I can't really cast a Green Sun super effectively. Oh, great. Hull Reacher Echo. Alright. Sure. Alright. Yeah, now, like that many treasure tokens plus 7 cards in hand, and I have 0, and the Fiend Artisans are 1/1s. I can't really do much from here. Like, this is turn 6. I had all the time in the world. I had multiple Fiend Artisan activations, I think, and I just couldn't really do stuff. Alright, Narset is very strong. My opponent might be able to go yet again. Found a Lotus Petal. Okay, sure. I really just save my time and concede here. I'm not winning from this position. Like, Urza Saga is active. I'm extremely constrained on mana. My opponent has another draw lined up in Narset. My opponent has an onboard counterspell. Everything is working against me except life total, and I have no ability to pressure life total given current circumstances. Oh, there's more. Okay. Sure. At least they're tapped out, but I just don't think I win from here. Go ahead and concede. Not having that Collector Oof in the deck game 1 absolutely just lost me that match. Alright. Oof is reasonable. Abrupt Decay is okay. Boseijus are coming in to help with Urza Saga. Dalthy Voidwalker is fine. Sudden Edict is playable, but not exciting. My deck is so slow. Like, this definitely needs to go. I probably need to board this out again. Like, it's super cute to, like, do this and turn my Wastelands into cantrips, but I don't want to give my opponent that degree of time, and I feel like I can do, you know, the important half of what the Gitrog Monster does with just fetching a Ramunap Excavator for repeated Wastelands. Eternal Witness feels too slow. I'm cutting the Slogurks, Gitrogs, and Sylvan Safekeepers in basically every round. Is probably an indication of their power level relative to the format. And once I do that, some of these explorations probably need to go. I don't know if it's going to be all of them here. I care about Dryad. Right is a green sunnable extra land drop. I'd rather have that than exploration. Or when we get to the mid game. The nice thing about exploration is that if my opponent does a symmetrical time twister effect, like I can just deploy those extra lands that I draw. I guess I boarded in 2 lands. Probably like cut a forest. I don't think I've ever fetched this triome. Let's cut the triome. And let's try this. This is fine. It is not overly exciting, but it is fine. I get to Green Sun for Collector Roof on turn 2. Which is about as much as I could reasonably ask for. Will be Bayou, Exploration, Swamp, and Pass. Alright, opponent is on an Urza Saga hand. I would love to draw a Wasteland or Ghost Quarter as my draw step for turn. Nope, it's Dryad Arbor here to hang out. Is there a world where I do not play Green Sun this turn, and then, like, use Green Sun to just get, like, an Uro or something like that? Maybe. I can also just play Douthie Voidwalker this turn so that I can't get caught by absolute nonsense. I don't have, like, a Reclamation Sage effect in the 75, which is huge. I would love to use that to destroy Urza Saga. Alright. Let's make some land drops, and then I have to decide between these two. I think I'm going to play Douthie Voidwalker. Like, it's nice unblockable damage in this exact situation where, like, I can maybe use Ramunap plus Exploration to just play an unhealthy number of lands. Like, this would be a situation where it would be super cool to have access to the Gitrog Monster. But I still think it was probably correct to board it out. I think I'm just going to be outclassed by Urza's Saga unless I draw a Wasteland, in which case I think I handily win this game. Like, Wasteland is disgustingly good. I also kind of wish I had something like a Titania. I mean, Titania is the sort of card that should probably be there instead of Slogurk or Gitrog Monster. Alright, my opponent's been thinking for a little while. You naming Wasteland? Are you naming Douthie Voidwalker? You're naming Douthie Voidwalker. Then passing the turn. Seems like it's probably just time to cast a Green Sun. I can just play Ramunap first, though, right? So, cast Ramunap. Land drop. Fetch. Pretty safe to grab the non-basics here. There's a drop. Fetch a second time. Grab an Underground Sea. Cast a Green Sun for X's 2. Alright, that ate a Force of Negation, pitching a Narset, which is not fantastic for me. I'm very worried about my opponent just setting up a draw 7 by fetching LED with this and, like, playing Hull Breacher. That's how I think I lose this game. My opponent activated Douthie Voidwalker, so, like, or sorry, named Douthie Voidwalker with Pithing Needle, so, like, I just feel like that's what is about to happen. Ooh, it's a Mox Opal instead. Yeah, okay, opponent tried sacking Lotus Petal. They need to tap Mox Opal first and then do that. Okay, there's the Hull Breacher. So now they're gonna go. Yeah. Nope. Oh, actually, I guess with the Douthie Voidwalker in play, I don't have to worry about Echo specifically. Alright, that was a miss. I guess I just attack with all of this, right? If opponent blocks Dryad Arbor, I just play it from graveyard. Yeah, I think my opponent is just going to cast a Day's Undoing, and I will be sad. Alright, they are going to take the block on the Dryad Arbor. That's fine with me. I will redeploy that Dryad Arbor. And I think I'm just going to play a green fetch. Like, I know I can get extra value by playing that out. I think I just want the green fetch in play. Good news, the Mox Opal is currently not making mana. Bad news, my opponent found the mana. Alright. Go ahead and fetch with that Misty. Get like a basic forest here. And then that happens. Cool. Yeah, and I think I'm just on turn card sideways, hope it works. Because my opponent is just doing something more powerful than I am. I just have so much mana in my deck. I haven't kind of hit the relevant cards that I need to be hitting here. Like, it's possible that I can still tap that. It's possible I can still win this one. But I do not expect to. Like, I've got this partial hate card in the form of Doughty Voidwalker in play, and most of the other stuff that I have doesn't really matter. In good news, a lot of my opponent's mana is temporary. Something's coming at end step. It is another Hull Breacher. So removal spell's not really doing anything on those anymore. It also means that my attack with both Ramunap Excavator and Dryad Arbor is bad, because now my opponent can just block one of those, trade one Hull Breacher, and then I can't replay Dryad Arbor. Alright, there's an Urza Saga. Obviously incredibly strong. Opponent was pausing in attacks, like, thinking about attacking there. Yeah, you've got 6 cards. Like, there must be something else going on over there, right? Okay, there goes the land. There's Karn, which should handily beat me. So, see what this gets. Can't be Lattice. Oh, it's Sky Sovereign. Sure. Alright, so that kills Doughty Voidwalker, meaning that I can't kill Karn anymore. Yep, alright. And that's a Veteran Explorer. Cool. At this point, I think I'm comfortable conceding. My opponent's got Urza Saga tokens, which will be large. They can just, like, plus on this ship, attack, lightning bolt my creatures, deal me a large amount of damage in the air. They can Lattice lock me if they play another thing. The Echovion's LED baselines are also going to be on now because I've lost my Doughty Voidwalker. We can move on here. GG's. Alright, final round here. My hand's an auto mulligan, I think. I don't think I can just keep this hand that has Dryad Arbor as the one green source. It is just so dead to, like, Lightning Bolt, Swords of Plowshares, all those sorts of cards, including Wasteland. And then I have 0 castable cards in my hand. I would rather keep something safer. This qualifies as safer. This doesn't qualify as safe, but it definitely qualifies as safer. Reclaimer? I think Reclaimer goes back here. I think I just want to keep both of these powerful 3-drops so that I have a little bit of flexibility depending on what my opponent is playing. Alright. Bayou into Elvish Reclaimer. Are we playing against elves or not elves? Put Yorion away for right now. Alright, Elvish Reclaimer came back. So, like, elves versus not elves here is huge because it's like whether or not I have to fetch a basic right now. I think this is an MTG Goldfish moment and see if my opponent is known for, like, elves or a depth deck or anything like that. Opponent has a Pauper Elves finish. No super recent Legacy finishes. Yeah, last Legacy finish was in 2019. I think I'm going to play it safe. Just grab a basic land and play bird. If this is elves, Leovold is okay. Then, like, if we establish it's elves, then there's a further step of, like, is it regular elves or a Fiend Artisan elves build? Green Sun is fine. Finding a Dryad Arbor. Yeah, I'll happily take a little bit of damage here. So, I don't get to play a 3-drop this turn. I have to loam instead. I will loam. Play that land. Go ahead and fetch. This time around, in respect to Leovold, probably have to get Bayou. And I'm just going to try to start working ahead on mana here. I have very powerful cards in hand that I would like to deploy. I would also like to dampen the power of an opposing, like, Wasteland or Bojuka Bog. Alright. Second Dryad Arbor probably just confirms that it is elves. Missing my land drop here. Fuck. Can I just catch a fucking break today? In any fucking capacity? I cannot. That's 4 creatures in play. 5 creatures in play. Guy's Cradle taps for 5. I don't have anything cool like a Plague Engineer or a Toxic Deluge or anything like that to come back from a large board. Opponent could also just like natural order me this turn very easily. Am I dead? Okay. Green Sun for 1 here. Probably gets a Heritage Druid. Assuming opponent has more creatures in hand. Yep. So that's going to tap 3 creatures. Continue the chain. Oh, it is a Once Upon a Time. Finding Elvish Visionary. Which my opponent can cast, and then that'll create 3 more mana with Nettle Sentinel and Heritage Druid. Allowing the chain to continue. I don't think Wirewood's been used yet as well, so like that's a thing. Alright, it's more other Wirewood. And that kills me next turn 100% of the time. They just tap the Cradle, or just tap a handful of elves. Okay, now there's a second one, so removal spell doesn't even beat my opponent anymore. Alright. I imagine the chain is probably more or less over there. Nope, okay, JK. We're still fucking going. You know what? At this point, I can't really win. My opponent can cast some more spells while I double check that, right? Yeah, there's no sweeper. There's no out to this. There's no out to this in the sideboard either. I'm gonna concede. Let's finish this league. I'll record with something else. Yeah. So my board doesn't really help with this. Sudden Edict is okay. Boseiju on Cradle is not crazy. It's bad. Might be where I'm at. I just don't see myself winning this matchup. Like, Assassin's Trophy is an awful removal spell here. Because, like, my opponent has basic forests, and if I use it on an elf, it, like, replaces itself in terms of mana. So, like, I can use those on a Cradle, but that's not a feel-good situation. So, like, a Boseiju can replace a Bojuka Bog here. My opponent is on Glimpse Elves, not Fiend Artisan Elves, so I'm pretty confident about that decision. I can probably pull one forest or the other. I bring in 4 additional removal spells. I mean, Slogurk goes. Eternal Witness feels too slow. Gitrog Monster feels too slow. I probably don't need this extra exploration. Yeah, I just don't feel like I have reasonable cards to win this matchup. I need a Plague Engineer or something. I'm gonna keep this. I've got turn 2 Ramunap Excavator in an attempt to Wasteland lock my opponent out of the game. That's about the best I can do. Like, I would love my opponent to play a Wastelandable land so that I can just go in on that. They did not. Oh, they did. Just with extra steps. And basically every time I have a chance to destroy a land, I just will. Alright, I do not want more land drops as draws. I don't have a lot of choice about it, but I definitely don't want it. And hopefully the Wasteland slows down my opponent long enough that I can get to Ramunap plus Wasteland. Oh, that's not bad. I will loam targeting Wasteland. Wasteland can be my land drop. I will blow up Dryad Arbor. Made my land drop. I do not want to give my opponent 2 lands right now with Veteran Explorer, seeing as I'm trying to Wasteland them into Oblivion. So we're chilling. Alright, opponent does unfortunately have a 4th land. It is a basic. The issue with this whole Wasteland situation is that my opponent can just, like, draw Guy's Cradle, Natural Order, and find Progenitus. Do not believe it is correct to dredge that. I need something that impacts the board. Doesn't really count. I think I'm just gonna thin an extra land out of my deck here. Catching like a tropical island or something. And play Ramunap. So I interacted with elves. I have 2 mana there. Is that a click on wrong card, or just like I know I'm using the mana anyway? Now you can't undo that mana. Okay. Our forest for an untap. Where are we going? Another Elvish Visionary. Yeah, see, like, this is the point where I need a Plague Engineer to just, like, kill 3 of my opponent's creatures and then have the superior board. Make it so that, like, Cradle isn't innately good. I need live draws. Okay, Leovold. Leovold is legit. Black, green, blue. Oh, nope, I tapped that wrong. Alright, there's Leovold. Happily play a Wasteland from Graveyard for the future. And I think I'm holding back here. I have a Leovold in play. There's a Cradle. Alright. You do not draw a card. It enters the battlefield. Do not draw a card. I also get to Wasteland this guy's Cradle, which is cool. Alright, we're just conceding with extra steps, that's fine. Always yield to this nonsense. You can have your Elvis Reclaimer. Alright. Do not need to dredge. Baleful Strix is cool. Let's start by casting that. Do not want that. Got it anyway. Wasteland the guy's Cradle. Redeploy a Wasteland. I guess I will cast a Life from the Loam. Is that even good? I just have 2 lands in hand already. Not do that. Yeah, my opponent's got a 3/4. I'm not really interested in attacking here. I'm not doing a very good job at winning the game. I'm doing a fine job of not losing the game, but, like, I'm not really gaining super meaningful ground. Alright. Land drop, fetch, get that Triome out of the deck. I'm fine attacking with Strix. Given that I also have Endurance that can be flashed in as a blocker, I think I'm fine attacking in with Strix as well. Let's start doing some damage. Opponent goes to 17. In the not too distant future, I can like play Yorion, blink Strix to draw a card. Alright, no attacks from my opponent. I am happy enough sending all of these cards back into my opponent's deck. That's a lot of land, and on the off chance that my opponent is playing some Fiend Artisans in there, like, it reduces the size of that creature by a meaningful amount. Does let them fetch a Dryad Arbor, which can be relevant, but it doesn't feel super relevant. No to Life from the Loam. Alright. Land drop. This also shrinks. Issue is that, like, my opponent can just find a fucking Gaia's Cradle here. I guess I Wasteland it. This goes in. I think I'm comfortable with this attacking as well. Possible the Veteran Explorer can attack. I don't know how many basics my opponent is playing. Alright, my opponent gets hit for 4, going to 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana, which is really 5, assuming I have to Wasteland. So I think that just means I hold up another Endurance. Like, I hold up Endurance plus Wasteland. Alright, opponent did not go for it. There's a Verdant Catacombs. I can potentially Wasteland that, and then Wasteland the creature that follows it up. Alright. End of turn Endurance. Target you. I want to Wasteland my opponent here. You know what? Fuck it. Sure. Why not? Wasteland your Verdant Catacombs in response. Show me what land you're working with. Also just worth a point of damage. Alright, opponent has found a Bayou that I can destroy. Good with that. Let's fetch here. Just get a Forest. Feel like I need my own Dryad Arbor. Say no to Life from the Loam for the 10th time. Okay, it is a green sun. I don't have Gitrog or Slogurk. So what do I get here? I just don't have good cards to get. Because, like, I have conceptually boarded out these cards that are very slow to get online. The issue is that when I reach a point of the game like this one, I don't have something that just kills my opponent like a Titania, and I don't have something, like, devastatingly powerful. Like, a Fiend Artisan here isn't that good. Play Wasteland from Graveyard, free combat. Always going to Wasteland that Bayou. I'm fine. If my opponent wants to, like, bounce it, it means that they can't do bullshit later. Yeah, this is part of a trap. Alright, so you get your Cradle. Now, I do this for X is 3. Gets me my Dryad. Dryad allows me to replay Wasteland. Go ahead and go to some attacks here. Hit in with this. I'm comfortable attacking with this. Just everybody. Just fucking get in there. I think this is an everybody get in there moment. Feels like my opponent has 2 forests based on their play patterns. Okay, sure. This is fine. Opponent goes to 2. Now, if I Wasteland Guy's Cradle, my opponent could untap this creature, but not have the second mana to do it. I am fine doing this right now. Alright. You may absolutely Green Sun. If my opponent just has Guy's Cradle in hand, I just die, right? Oh, it's Heritage Druid, sure. Thought that was going to be Allosaurus Shepherd, Cradle, activate, hit me, die. Alright, there's an untap on a creature. Land, 4 mana. Okay, sure. That is a Crater Hoof with 5 attackers. I imagine that means that I am very dead. Yep, alright, cool. I maybe could have pressured a little bit earlier by attacking a bit more, but even if I do that, like, we have a 2-3 league. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Very bad. I don't think I can mince word. Like, I think I just need to be straightforward here. I don't think this deck works the way that it is built. I think it is just incredibly inconsistent. You have so many combination of cards that are very bad. You have an absolute ton of mana in the deck, but you're not using that mana to do anything. I have 32 lands. I have 4 Veteran Explorers. I have Sylvan Safekeeper, which is supposed to be, like, cute with these 2 cards, right? The Veteran Explorers are basically only good if I happen to draw them alongside my 3 of Cabal Therapy, or maybe alongside Fiend Artisan, assuming those creatures actually get to activate. But I think we're not a good land-based deck. We're not maxing out on Wasteland for, like, the Life from the Loam lock. I don't think we're a very good creature deck for fueling Fiend Artisan. Like, we have a creature count of 33, which might be high for, like, say, a 60-card deck, but is not high for an 80-card deck, I don't think. And even when I get Fiend Artisans active, they just don't do anything. Like, I get to find these cards that just kind of spin wheels without winning games. And, like, when I think about flagship threats in Legacy right now, I'm thinking about, like, the Murktide Regents and the Minsk and Booze, and we just don't have anything that actually just kills my opponent. And I don't feel like I have a good early game, and I don't feel like I have a good late game. And my mid game is okay. Like, my mid game's fine, but if I'm slow to start and I don't really feel like the end game of this deck is good, that doesn't leave me with a reasonable Legacy deck. And I think this deck is just worse at being like this Life from the Loam Field of the Dead deck than, like, a lot of, like, the Bant or Bug Yorion control decks. I feel like we're much worse than, say, like, Fiend Artisan Elves at being a Fiend Artisan deck. I think this deck lacks focus and lacks a clear plan. And I think because of that, this deck just suffers. And there were so many times where I'm like, okay, I've got a Green Sun, I've got a Fiend Artisan, and I just, like, didn't have something that was reasonable to get. So I think if I were to play something like this again, I would be gutting 20 or more cards from this deck and trying to start over. I would probably get rid of the whole Veteran Explorer, Cabal Therapy, Sylvan Safekeeper, Slogurk, Gitrog Monster portion of the deck, which is, like, the cool portion of the deck that the donor probably wanted to see in action. I don't feel like this was a successful toolbox deck. I feel like while there were a lot of things in the toolbox, I didn't have access to them at the right time in the right way. And I just kind of felt like I was playing the worst deck in all 5 of my rounds. So that's where I'm at. I'm going to call it a day. I hope you enjoyed me, despite the fact that I didn't really enjoy this league. Please consider clicking the like button on the way out, and have a great rest of the day. We'll try again with some nonsense tomorrow, and hopefully it goes better. I will say, if we need a ray of sunshine at the end of this video, Magic Online was switched over to a new platform, and other than having to redo my stops, we didn't lose any games to any new bugs, any like wrong features or anything like that. So like that's what went right today. So like we do have a little win. All right, see ya.